we had members of staff that we employed in one role at the beginning, and actually they loved something completely different. So we moved them onto that role, and it's about keeping great people in the business by finding the right roles for them. I mean, the one thing that's so important, and I'm going to apologize for my language here, is you need to make it really clear to consumers or your customers, your clients, what you stand for. Because I think the marketplace is so crowded in any industry, whether it be a consumer product, whether it be a service sector, they need to know why they're going to use you or why they're going to buy you. And I think one of the most successful things about Grenade, and it sounds a bit weird, is that there was always a little bit of Al and I in all of the products. So our personality, the fact that we enjoy ourselves, we take business very seriously, but there was a lot of fun in all of our products. And like the marketing messages was, it was very tongue in cheek. And we never wanted to offend anybody, but we wanted to have a sense of humor. And I think that's what got so many customers, consumers on board with Grenade, is the fact that they had that emotional connection with the founders and with the brands. And they knew not only were the products brilliant, but also they sort of bought into the brand. And I think that's so important. I always call it the twat factor. You need to make it really, really clear what you stand for, because as soon as customers, consumers get confused, they sort of switch off and they'll go and use somebody else. And I've looked at loads of different websites or social media, and I'm like, what do these people actually do? I don't know whether they can help me. So I just think it's setting your stall out and almost, doing what you say on the tin, so that everybody knows exactly what you stand for. It's so important. When we launched Grenade, it was in a very crowded marketplace. So there are lots of similar products. There were no magic ingredients. It was all about the look and feel of the product. So everything was in very generic white tubs. They all had very scientific names. And what we found is that as soon as you stepped outside of the gym or the health club, you didn't know what they were called. You couldn't remember. So by setting Grenade up in a grenade shaped container, it didn't matter what language you spoke, where you were in the world, you knew what that product was called by the look and feel of the container. So it stood out on the shelf, it stood out on socials, the website looked great. So it was all about grabbing customers, consumers' attention. I think with the world as it is today, with everyone working remotely, one thing that we found with Grenade that really worked is that sense of working together in a team. We had a really, really tight knit team. And this was a lot easier when the business was smaller, when there were like 10, 15, 20 members of staff. We all used to go out together. But as the business grew and some people worked remotely, trying to keep that team spirit was key. So Al and I always used to talk to new starters so they knew about the Grenade journey. We always showed an interest in the business and what people did. We organised social events so that all the team got together. And I think that's so important. But one of the biggest pieces of advice, I think, for anybody new starting a business is making sure that the people that you employ have got the right cultural fit. Because I think you can train somebody to do a job, but you can't change who they are. And sometimes, different personalities just won't fit into an organization. And that can have a really sort of disruptive effect on a business. So it would just be to employ people that are the right cultural fit, that want to work in the team. And again, it's finding out what they enjoy doing. So we had members of staff that we employed in one role at the beginning, and actually they loved something completely different. So we moved them onto that role, and it's about keeping great people in the business by finding the right roles for them. I mean, every day is a challenge, and I'm one of these people that, like to challenge myself. And one of the, you know, I didn't know whether to start another business. That was my plan, to start a brand. But I didn't want a second album. And there are so many people that jump straight into something else, and it's not as successful as their first business. And I feel that, went out on a high with Grenade, which was brilliant. But I challenge myself personally, in my fitness goals. I travel a lot, but also I work with a lot of other food and consumer brands, helping them on their growth journey. And that's great because you get the experiences, you can pass on your advice and watch other brands grow. But then actually at the end of the day or the end of the week or the board meeting, you can walk away and do your own things. I think once you're one of these people that you can't sit still. So I can never settle. So I have to be busy. I'm very honest, and down to earth, and I'll say it exactly how it is. So a lot of people sugarcoat their business journey and talk about how wonderful it was and, all the highs, where actually, there are some really difficult, challenging times that, you get through because you've got a strong team. But I'll always be honest about the complete grenade experience. And as I've sort of mentioned before, a lot of this was learned on the job, and we were doing something that people hadn't done before. We were bringing a product that was typically a US product into the UK markets. And we challenged the UK groceries, supermarkets. We actually created the category. So I would hope that they'd sort of talk about, I'd pass on like that entrepreneurial spirit and how it was really sort of like roll your sleeves up and get stuck in. Very honest. And also, people tell me I'm quite amusing, whether that's true or not. So, that sense of humor. So, hopefully, it'll be enjoyable and a very real experience for people.